Diddy rap.
Day 21 of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial began with a hush so dense the fluorescent hum in courtroom. 12A felt like a siren. Outside, 200 onlookers pressed shoulder to shoulder, thumbs hovering over record buttons, ready to explode any scrap of news onto TikTok. Inside, the mogul's silk-lined suit jacket glimmered like oil under the lights. But his cufflink diamond usually flaunted sat half-hidden beneath a starched French cuff, as if even the jewelry sensed danger. Some spectators came hungry for lurid tales about free cough parties. Others hoped to witness a father finally acknowledge the one bond even brand managers can't spin. Before we peel back every layer of this billion-dollar facade, tap like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell because stories this explosive vanish from search results faster than a deleted DM. Now let's slip past the velvet rope and into the silence that threatened to swallow a legend whole. Long before federal agents stormed Combs' Los Angeles and Miami estates, hauling out encrypted hard drives, ketamine vials, and boxes labeled personal-size lube, he'd already mastered image control on Bronx street corners, where hustlers sold mixtapes for rent. By 30, he was dancing in glittering suits on MTV. By 40, Forbes pegged his net worth at $500 million. By 55, that valuation climbed near $1 billion, even as indictments described a two-decade pattern of coercion, blackmail, and hush money threats. Colleagues joked that nobody spun scandal into stardust faster than Diddy until the night. Cassie Ventura filed a sex abuse suit in November 2023 and settled in 24 hours for a rumored $20 million. Fans claimed it proved his innocence. Critics called it proof of a bottomless wallet worth more than the truth. The March 2024 Homeland Security raids, complete with armored trucks and K-9 units, should have jolted the public awake. Agents cut power to the palatial Beverly Hills property, then breached an iron gate engraved with Combs' initials. They seized countless items, but one photograph later leaked showed a stainless steel vault stocked with thumb drives labeled only. By dates, internet sleuths speculated each drive stored blackmail footage, but prosecutors never confirmed. Strangely, among all the alleged contraband, no photo of an under-the-radar son emerged, even though whispers about a hidden kid had floated through industry back channels for more than a decade. Those whispers traced back to three innocuous words overheard by a disgruntled assistant, JD Education. At first, bloggers assumed it referenced Justin Dior Holmes' scholarship fundand till someone cross-checked bank codes and realized the phrase tagged hundreds of discrete wire transfers to a trust for a beneficiary no tabloid had ever photographed. Public life overflowed with Justin Dior Holmes linebacker, Fashion Week fixture, and certified Nepo baby lightning rod after UCLA awarded him that $54,000 football scholarship in 2012. Cable pundits ranted, "Why should taxpayers bankroll the son of a mogul?" Diddy laughed it off as jealousy, his grin unwavering. Yet buried in Delaware's corporate archives lay another Justin. JD Education beneficiary no. 1. Same initials. Different mother. Different birth dates, zero paparazzi flashes. Bank statements hummed a lullaby in numbers. Quarterly wires. Tagged family support, annual August spikes, marked tuition. And most suspicious 3 hefty December disbursements, each timed within 48 hours of catastrophic headlines. One cleared as TMZ surfaced footage of Combs shoving Ventura. Another posted the morning Homeland Security trucks rolled up his Miami driveway. The pattern felt less like child support and more like crisis management. Currency cash fire hoses aimed at dousing reputational blaze. Journalists pounced, but hit a cul-de-sac, a nondescript rental home in South Orange, New Jersey. Leased to 1 Aisha Holmes, a stylist who disappeared from Combs' circle after a backstage shouting match in 2008. Neighbors recalled a polite, boy named Jay who rode bikes at dusk and never mentioned his father. If Justin Dior was the son Combs paraded under stadium floodlights, this other Justin seemed locked in a shadow. Neither money nor fame could light, and yet no dollar sign could bury the one secret money couldn't smother. Enter Dana Rivera, forensic accountant extraordinaire, woman famous for turning spreadsheets into page-turners. At trial, she unrolled a 50-foot color timeline across the courtroom floor. Along the strip, neon dots pinpointed every cent, flowing out of Comb Enterprises LLC, through Trust Number 7, and finally into an account controlled by Holmes. Over 6 years, $1.2 million moved like clockwork. My dog's tuition wires. Monthly $4,750 living expense transfers, and those notorious December holiday bonuses. Rivera drew a red circle around one transfer dated December 22, 2018, exactly 48 hours before Variety broke a story alleging Combs bribed nightclub staff to confiscate patrons' phones. Her showstopper exhibit, trustee emails. One read. Ensure JD's account is credited before press release goes live. Need goodwill buffer. Another, holiday disbursement must hit before media cycle turns hostile. Expedite. Rivera reminded jurors that fiduciary duty demands every dime serve the child's interest, not the parent's PR calculus. The defense barked discretionary distributions, but she shot back with trust law chapter and verse. By the time Rivera stepped down, even the bailiff seemed to exhale as if the numbers themselves had teeth. Numbers proved the pattern, but the human cost was about to walk through the door. If Rivera decoded motives in math, Marcus Allen translated secrecy into flesh and blood detail. Hired as education coordinator, Marcus enrolled the boy in violin under the alias Jordan Hale. Martial arts built to a shell called Legacy Project, and advanced math with invoices addressed simply to JDC. He recalled a January morning when Combs arrived at the Little Brick Prep School unannounced. Hood up, Schweeds on, sneakers squeaking across polished linoleum. He knelt, hugged a shy 5-year-old, whispered, "Stay focused," and slipped out a side exit before a single parent could raise a phone. Marcus's narration warmed at father-son rituals, hot chocolate bribes for finishing scales, pep talks. Before a piano solo yet, chilled when describing midnight relocations. Twice, he said, Combs uprooted the boy overnight after gossip blog inquiries. Once, he ordered Marcus to shred every document bearing the child's real surname. The gallery gasped. The defense objected that privacy isn't a felony. The judge agreed, but added that motive concealment or protection must be weighed like gold dust on a jeweler's scale. Marcus closed with a memory of a holiday recital. Justin performed Moonlight Sonata, and Combs paced backstage, sweating through a designer hoodie, terrified his son would miss a note. When the boy finished, Combs wiped a tear, high-fived the music teacher, then ducked out the back before a curtain call. That's the paradox, Marcus sighed. Unconditional love conducted in absolute shadow. The jury leaned in, but nothing prepared them for the voice that followed. 17-year-old Justin Dior Holmes stepped to the stand with the poise of someone twice his age. Tall, lean brows set like crowbars. He surveyed the packed benches and began. I was 10 when Mom showed me the letter. His voice steady, as a metronome filled every corner. It opened with I've been watching from afar. I wasn't sure if that was sweet or creepy. Nervous laughter rippled, then hushed. He painted their first secret meeting in a corner cafe. 2 hot chocolates, extra marshmallows. He wore a hoodie like any dad, but the barista still whispered, "That's Diddy." Combs told him fame was a furnace. He didn't want his son near the flame. Justin's eyes gleamed. Protecting me doesn't require erasing me, he said, words slicing the air. He recounted midnight theater visits his father. lurking in the wings as he rehearsed A Midsummer Night's Dream. Birthdays celebrated in Airbnbs booked under fake names. Basketball games watched from nosebleed seats by a man in a Yankees cap. Gratitude and grief braided together. Love in the shadows makes you wonder if sunlight itself might burn. Then, he presented Exhibit JDC1, handwriting looping like eighth notes. Opening, my beloved son, and closing, I will earn the right to be your father every single day. Gasps fluttered. But Justin wasn't done. He produced a second-page exhibit, JDC3, written only weeks earlier. Pride without presence is empty. I will be more than a name. I will be your dad. Tears glazed his lashes. His voice stayed iron. The defense probed, could the letters be courtroom propaganda? Justin's reply sliced clean. If they were, he'd post them on Instagram. He wrote them for me, no one else. Even the stenographer paused, fingertips hovering. Then came the letters. Under glass-inked confessions that might save or sink his dad. Bailiffs dimmed the lights as both letters slid beneath acrylic. Jurors leaned so far forward, a marshal raised a palm, reminding them not to touch. The prosecutor read aloud passages sounding like recovered diary pages. I hid behind discretion, hoping you'd flourish unseen, but in doing so, I buried you instead. Even veteran reporters wiped moisture from eyes. Yet nostalgia alone couldn't outweigh Rivera's data. Defense counsel seized the gap, calling Combs a marketing savant who'd crafted chart-topping tearjerkers. Why not a letter engineered to melt hearts? He read chunky sections from Combs's. Hit I'll be missing you to imply emotional manipulation was part of the brand. The insinuation floated. These handwritten vows equaled product placement, aimed at the jury's empathy feed. Prosecutors counterpunched with digital forensic evidence, metadata on the scans dated months before the indictment. In-caging tests showed oxidation consistent with a 2019 ballpoint. Authenticity looked solid, but motive remained the jury's Rubik's Cube. Closing arguments spread like dueling documentaries. The prosecution braided Rivera's spreadsheets, Marcus's recollection, and Justin's letters into one chilling narrative. Combs weaponized love and money, interchangeably, one to pull his son close, the other to repel cameras. They traced each December bonus to crisis headlines, each trusty email to spin control, each midnight relocation to brand preservation. This is not fatherhood, the lead prosecutor thundered. It's public relations triage. Defense counsel counter-narrated. Fame mutates parenting. He flashed the scoreboard of public judgment. Justin Dior's 2012 scholarship fiasco. Hate mail calling the boy spoiled and underserving. Death threats from anonymous trolls. Why would any father subject a second child to that furnace? He asked. JD education, he insisted, served a single goal. Shelter. Reasonable doubt thrived in the canyon. Between secrecy and malice, he ended with a rhetorical spear. If protecting your child is a crime, who in this room is safe from prosecution? Silence thickened. Jurors, stoic as marble busts, filed out. Outside, protesters chanted for survivors while Bluetooth speakers blared Bad Boys for Life. Inside, 12 strangers now held the scale, weighting a family's truth against a brand's myth with minds. Racing, the bailiff's final command echoed like a gavel to the soul. They say verdicts end stories, but some tales refuse tidy bows. As jurors disappeared behind a frosted glass door, Combs clasped his hands, no longer rap mogul swagger, but something resembling prayer. Justin sat to Rose's back, letters folded, like fragile fossils of a future still possible. Dana Rivera shut her binders. Marcus Allen inhaled, as if for the first time all afternoon. Reporters dashed for Wi-Fi, each racing to frame the narrative before the next push notification swallowed theirs whole. Whatever decision emerges guilty, not guilty. The trial has already redrawn the map of celebrity privacy. It forced the question: can a megastar sculpt a child's life like a press release? Can love survive secrecy? And can money purchase silence without selling the soul attached? We've seen closets stuffed not just with designer stilettos and dubious vials, but with childhood photos hidden inside trust fund folders, mementos of a boy raised in the negative space of a spotlight. In the next half of this story, the verdict arrives. And with it, a reckoning bigger than any platinum plaque. Stay with me. Part 2 dives into the jury's deliberations, the seismic fallout, and the question echoing far beyond courtroom walls when a father hides a son who pays the price. Behind a frosted door, 12 ordinary citizens: accountant, nurse, rideshare driver, retired sergeant. College sophomore formed an accidental think tank no PR strategist could infiltrate. They shuffled into a stark chamber where a single wall clock ticked like a metronome, marking the edge of a dynasty. On the table, Rivera's color-coded timeline, Marcus's shredded document testimony, Justin's tear-stained letters, and 2 legal definitions scrawled on giant notepads: intent to conceal and reasonable doubt. Juror 2, a high school math teacher, opened with numbers: 3 December bonuses, 3 explosive headlines, 12-hour window. That's correlation. Juror 6, a paralegal, countered: correlation isn't conspiracy. Rich folks move money weird all the time. Juror Tenors, mother of twins, spread Justin's letter like a quilt and whispered, "This feels like a boy begging not to be invisible." The room inhaled. They replayed Marcus's recital story, a father pacing backstage, drenched in anxiety, yet fleeing before curtain call. Was that self-preservation or self-incrimination? Juror 1, the retired sergeant, saw duty in everything. He abandoned the field. Juror 7, the sophomore, saw trauma. He feared paparazzi more than missing the encore. Slowly, a mosaic emerged: broken shards of motive, each juror gluing meaning from personal scars. At hour 5, they summoned a whiteboard. One side read protective motive, the other concealment motive. Under protective, they listed hate tweets slamming Justin Dior's football scholarship, death threats against celebrity kids, and the invasive glare of gossip sites. Under concealment, they scribbled trust emails timed to PR crises, shell companies, shredded school records, and the December payouts. By sundown, tally marks leaned 7-5 toward concealment. But unanimity remained a distant shore. They broke 4 stale sandwiches, fatigue clouding logic. Juror 9, rideshare driver night shift, blurted, "My baby mama moved counties twice. Cause of my ex's stalking. Secrecy saved our kid." The comment tilted to votes. Now 6-6. Midnight crawled in. They argued over synonyms: shield versus smother, privacy versus ERA. At 2:11 a.m., the math teacher drew a Venn diagram. In the overlap, he wrote one sentence: "A father can love and still manipulate." The nurse dabbed her eyes. The stalemate cracked. Slowly, each juror revisited evidence, prying emotion from fact like oyster from shell. When dawn filtered through frosted glass, they lined up to vote again. Court reconvened at 8:47 a.m., but it felt like a primetime premiere. Spectators squeezed shoulder to shoulder. Some wore free Diddy tees, others clutched justice for Justin signs. The judge's gavel echoed once sore. Maybe it was every heartbeat. In the room, the foreperson, hands trembling, unfolded a sheet. On count 1, conspiracy to tamper with evidence by means of financial concealment. We find the defendant guilty. Gasps fissured through cedar panels. On count 2, filing false trust documents. Guilty. On count 3, endangering the welfare of a child. Not guilty. The split verdict ricocheted. Some spectators pumped fists, others slumped. Combs exhaled a sound halfway between sigh and growl. Justin's shoulders jerked as if relief and grief collided. Dana Rivera closed her binder. Marcus Allen crossed himself. Jurors avoided eye contact, knowing social media sleuths would soon decode their identities. The clerk recorded. Finalities. The judge scheduled sentencing. Cameras still banned. Reporters sprinted for Wi-Fi, like Marines to choppers. But the real story unfolded in micro-expressions. Combs leaning toward his lead counsel, whispering, "We appeal." Justin mouthing, "I'm okay," to his mom, and juror to rubbing an ink smudged. Thumb over that Dawn scribble. A father can love and still manipulate. News desks detonated in real time. By noon, #JD verdict trended #1 worldwide. Algorithm charts resembled seismographs. Stock in Combs's media conglomerate nosedived 22% before trading halted. A streaming service removed his back catalog within hours, releasing a statement about values alignment. Rihanna posted a single broken heart emoji. Kanye West tweeted, "Told y'all," then deleted memes proliferated. One showed a diamond cufflink morphing into handcuffs. Another, a split-screen Combs's $1 million grin melting into a mugshot silhouette. Late-night hosts lampooned his goodwill buffer emails, quipping that Santa delivers presents slower than Diddy moved hush money. Meanwhile, think pieces flooded. Is Hollywood's privacy playbook dead? When dad becomes brand manager, trust funds, or trust broken? The courthouse rival chants collided. #Team Justin supporters brandished placards quoting the letter, "Pride without presence is empty." #Team Diotti faithful claimed the government criminalized black fatherhood. Police erected bike racks as makeshift barricades. One officer muttered, "I've seen rock concerts quieter than this." Inside a black SUV, Combs's crisis team drafted a triage schedule. 48-hour silence, followed by an exclusive interview on a sympathetic podcast, a philanthropic pledge to fatherhood initiatives, possible relocation to a treatment facility for PHO, Myra Sildy for PHO, Allegio or PHO, long-last inquest, long-lasting color, My Lies Hunter, long-lasting color, followed by an exclusive interview on Scoop Ples, My CLA, My Light, quote Lass, My Lead a Laugh, Carice Glyce Last, My Live, My Live, My Live, To Expied So My Live, Kabed, I Not Live, My Conlide, Lie the Lie to Kadide No Why It's Me Ka to See Set to Set I Sukuk, You So We Loves, Can You Bit to Let Bit Reset Dot to Set it Gis Pup Ted Static Etisis Tek Still to Foot Wist Cab. Exhaustion, all scripted steps to reclaim narrative oxygen. Someone suggested a surprise album drop to hijack headlines. Another advised, lay low. The room split like the jury. 6 weeks later, sentencing day arrived under iron-gray skies. Overnight sleet-glazed courthouse steps, turning each footfall into a calculated risk symbolic of every misstep that brought them here. Inside, the prosecution asked for 5 years, citing elaborate concealment. Defense requested probation, framing the offenses as paperwork technicalities committed in pursuit of paternal privacy. The judge, stoic. Eyes ringed by months of marathon litigation, delivered 24 months in federal custody, plus a $7 million fine, plus mandatory ethics training for every officer in Combs's trust network. Court gasped. Harsher than fans prayed, lighter than critics demanded. The judge explained, "Mr. Combs, your music moved millions, but your machinations moved millions of dollars in darkness. Intent matters. So does acknowledgement. 2 years gives you time to reflect. No shell companies, no stage lights. Media dubbed it a half sentence, sparking fresh outrage. Civil attorneys circled like hawks. Class action whispers snowballed. A record label quietly froze royalty advances. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Prisons assigned Combs to a law security facility in Yazoo City, Mississippi, a location chosen, ironically, for its limited paparazzi access. Privacy, at last, but at a cost. In a private holding room, minutes after sentencing, father and son met without attorneys present. A guard stood outside, arms folded. Combs, in crisp Navy prison garb, temporary until transfer, looked suddenly smaller, spine curved. Justin leaned against a wall. Letters clutched like paper shields. Silence stretched until it felt weightier than any verdict. Finally, Combs spoke. "I failed you." Justin didn't flinch. "True," he said. Another beat. Combs's voice cracked, "But I never meant to." Justin unfolded JDC3, the line about earning the right. He tapped it. "Words are cheap, Dad. You've still got 2 years to start paying." Yet his tone softened. Not forgiveness, not absolution, but a door left ajar. They spoke of mundane things, college applications, favorite playlists, the way cafeteria mac and cheese always feels like glue. Combs promised to read every book Justin recommended. Justin promised monthly visits if the road's clear. When time expired, they hugged, awkward, brief, real. Guards averted eyes. Cameras absent. For once, no brand to polish. Outside, paparazzi captured only 2 silhouettes parting, snow mixing with flashbulb strobe. A columnist later wrote, "The concealment strategy collapsed, but so did the camera's dominion." Father and son met in a silence paparazzi couldn't penetrate. The verdict rippled through boardrooms like subbase. One streaming giant instituted a transparent trust policy requiring artists to disclose minors benefiting from corporate funds. Sports agencies launched seminars on public figure. Parenthood, suddenly hot commodities. Rival moguls scrubbed old tweets about their kids. Fearing forensic resurrection, record label executives convened a midnight Zoom. Topic: Diddy clause. Could trust fund opacity void future contracts if scandals erupted? Lawyers drafted templates before sunrise. Creative directors worried about backlash to nostalgia tours. Some shelved tribute compilations. Others pivoted to redemption narratives, banking on a post-release comeback. Meanwhile, young artists mined the saga for lyrical gold-dropping lines about secrecy. Trust issues, diamond cufflinks morphing into shackles. A breakout drill rapper scored a viral hit titled "Goodwill." Buffer chorus built around Rivera's courtroom. Quote, TikTok choreographers spun a dance featuring invisible ink hand motions, hide, sign, shred, relocate, mocking the concealment playbook. But the longest echo vibrated in conference rooms where wealth, managers admitted, reputational risk now weighs heavier than tax efficiency. One advisor told Variety, shell companies always carried audit risk. Now they carry moral hazard. Privacy strategies need a rethink, or public outrage will do the rethinking for us. Talk shows debated until ratings spiked. One camp argued the verdict criminalized private parenting. Every celeb shields kids. Where's the line? Another camp said the trial wasn't about protection, but erasure with financial intent. Hashtags #dad or brand and hashtag shadowchild traded blows daily. Psychologists weighed in. Shielding a child from fame can nurture normalcy, but secrecy without acknowledgement breeds identity confusion. Ethics professors posed hypotheticals. If a famous parent hires bodyguards to walk 6 paces behind a child, is that privacy or spectacle? Sociologists broke down class angles. Wealthy parents buy gates. Their kids still appear in yearbooks. Only extreme brand managers erase paper trails entirely. Meanwhile, families outside fame used the story as parable. PTA meetings discussed online safety. Single parents weighed pseudonyms for kids' Instagram. Some decided transparency trumped protection, others doubled encryption. The verdict became social media shorthand. Don't Diddy your life, bro. Yet nuance survived in quieter corners. A long-form podcast interviewed children of mob informants, missionary families, cybersecurity CEOs, all raised in secrecy, for wildly different reasons. Their verdict: secrecy exacts interest payments in adulthood curiosity, resentment, fractured self-image, but when danger is real, exposure can wound deeper. The line remains blurry. Case by case, child be child. A year into confinement, Combs submitted a 50-page family reconciliation plan to the prison's restorative justice program. It listed weekly therapy calls with Justin and Aisha, a reading syllabus between the world and me. The things they carried: just mercy, and a promise to mentor at-risk inmates in finance. Staff marked ambitious. Justin, now a freshman at NYU, clinging to anonymity, mailed typed feedback. Less syllabus, more sincerity. Show, don't cite sources. He included Polaroids, his dorm desk, a stage where he DJ'd open mic night, a selfie smiling, half nervous. On the back, I'm healthy. That's the real tuition. News leaked that Combs planned to transfer music publishing rights into a trust, co-managed by all his children, transparent as glass. Some called it atonement. Skeptics saw a tax hedge. Either way, the paperwork listed each child's legal name, no aliases left. When journalists asked Justin to comment, he declined, simply texting "Visibility Matters." In Mississippi. Combs launched a prison podcast, courted on contraband smartphones, eventually confiscated. Episodes dissected pride, power, fatherhood failures. Clips leaked, racking millions of plays. A punchline meme emerged. Even in lockup, he produces hits. Bureau of Prisons issued a cease and desist. Spotify removed episodes. Yet, transcripts spread like wildfire, fueling debate on whether contrition commercialized is still contrition. Release date: 24 months and 4 hours after sentencing arrived beneath cicada drones and southern sky heat. Combs walked out in government tissue khakis, clutching a cardboard box of possessions: dog-eared novels, therapy journals, handwritten, lyrics on commissary notepads, and a fresh letter addressed J. Paparazzi camped beyond prison gates, but marshals diverted him through a service exit. For the first time, concealment protected rather than erased. A small hybrid sedan idled at a distant lot. Justin stepped out. Older, shoulders broader, still. Carrying that early cafe calm, no entourage, no documentary crew, no meta moment selfie. Just two men in the Mississippi dawn. They hugged longer this time. Combs handed over the letter. Justin didn't open it. He placed it on the dash, buckled up, and asked, "Hungry?" They drove to a roadside diner smelling of bacon grease and possibility. A local photographer snapped a single long-lens photo. From a pickup truck, the shot father and son clinking orange juice glasses hit wires within minutes. But this time, headlines read differently. From hush money to hash browns, Diddy's first meal of freedom. Comments split, but vitriol felt. Thinner, maybe diluted by fatigue, maybe softened by the ordinariness of clinking glasses in a diner older than both of them. Combs's corporate empire sat in suspended animation. Ad campaigns paused. Fragrance lines out of stock. Reality show pitches iced. Yet creative rumor mills buzzed. Some insiders floated a stripped-back acoustic album, no features, no gloss, titled Father Figure. Others envisioned a memoir ghostwritten by a Pulitzer finalist, though publishers demanded ironclad fact-checking to avoid defamation landmines. Brand consultants, Co., insisted on a multi-year purpose pivot. Philanthropy, mentorship, transparent. Accounting audits, One suggested an annual invisible child scholarship funding kids of incarcerated parents. Another pitched a docuseries tracking Combs, helping artists find mental health resources. Irony, perhaps, but markets love metamorphosis narratives. Justin carved his own lane, producing indie artists under the moniker No Alias. His debut? Compilation co-soaked lo-fi beats woven with voicemail snippets charted on college radio. Reviewer tagline, healing at 80 BPM. He rarely spoke of the trial, but when pressed in an underground zine Q&A, he said, "Everybody talks about hiding or spotlight. For me, it's about diffused light seeing, but not blinding." 3 years post-verdict, a cultural studies class at Howard University held a symposium titled Privacy as Power: The Combs Conundrum. Students dissected lyrics, legal briefs, Instagram posts, and prison podcast transcripts. One camp argued secrecy shielded Justin from racist tabloid machines. Another said secrecy served Combs' ego, letting him preserve a Teflon brand. A guest lecturer, former child actor turned psychologist, summed it: "Fame parents face a Sophie's choice. Expose offspring to predatory media or bury them in anonymity." Combs tried the latter, but money turned the grave into a stage prop. Meanwhile, law schools cited United States v. Combs to teach evolving definitions of parental intent in financial fraud. A footnote labeled the letters unprecedented emotional evidence. Textbooks cautioned future defendants may forge pathos bombs. Courts must learn to weigh Tarrant against spreadsheets and in music history circles. Scholars parsed whether the scandal diminished Combs' influence on 90s hip-hop. Some argued his sonic fingerprints remain indelible. Others insisted legacy can't outrun moral reckoning. The debate mirrored every hallway chat. Can you separate art from architect, rhythm from rumor, bassline from bank account? Time marched on, chipping gossip into folklore. New scandals nudged older ones aside. Algorithms pivoted. Yet in certain quiet moments, late-night radio throwback. A dorm debate over ethics. A father hesitating before posting a toddler's photo online. The echo returned. A father can love and still manipulate. Combs now lives mostly off-grid on an upstate farm, raising rescue dogs, cultivating heirloom tomatoes, writing unreleased verses about regret and redemption. Visitors sign NDAs, but neighbors see him jogging country roads, sometimes trailed by a lanky college kid laughing at dad jokes once told in whispered cafe corners. Justin, still no alias, sells out small clubs where crowds chant choruses he wrote in dorm rooms. He ends each set the same way, hands the mic to the youngest spectator, and asks, "What truth do you want heard?" It rarely trends, but in a world obsessed with viral noise, maybe that's the loudest statement, so listener, the curtain never fully closes. Verdicts define legality, not legacy. Money can move in darkness, but eventually, paper trails glow like phosphorescence. Letters written in secret become evidence. Silence recorded becomes broadcast. Love concealed mutates until it demands daylight or suffocates. If you followed this saga seeking tidy heroes and villains, you've learned the story refuses simple math. It offers instead a ledger of contradictions. Protection that inflicted pain, glamour, hiding grime, guilt braided with devotion. In the negative space between those contradictions lives the real cost of shadows. Whether you condemn, forgive, or simply observe, remember, secrets are currencies that accrue interest. Eventually, someone pays, sometimes in money, sometimes in childhood, sometimes in cuff-linked diamonds surrendered for khaki cotton. The next time a headline touts private family life, ask whose privacy, whose cost, and whose voice got left in the dark. And if you ever find yourself guarding a truth so fiercely, you bury its living heart. Recall a line penned by a mogul. On the brink, pride without presence is empty. Presence, messy and public and human, might just be the one currency no verdict can devalue.